Okay, we're going to move on now to our next keynote speaker. This is going to be the one that's going to take us into our lunch break. His topic is winning in the insight economy with the Internet of Things. This is going to be an interesting presentation. Please help me welcome the General Manager, Internet of Things at IBM, Mr. Chris O'Connor.
There you go. Hey, thank you. Afternoon. It's me and you and then lunch coming up here, right? Did I get it right? So we're going to talk about the Internet of Things today. What we're basically going to do is we're going to talk about a point of view of what's happening. I'm going to try to share with you some of the things that are happening worldwide. I'm going to share with you some of the things that we're finding inside of IBM around the Internet of Things. And what I'd like you to get out of this is that all of the work that is going on to make physical devices now digital presents tremendous opportunities for all of us to take advantage of and to think through. And this era, this digital information era around physical devices is on us today. And it is on us in a big way, right? It all started years and years and years ago as we started to take things and we started to make them be digital. It started with basic chips inside of physical devices. It started with things that we could do to connect devices to online systems that first were self-contained, and then later on, they were things that you could use outside of that in other systems as well. So, our story begins really with so many of us that are engineers. I'm an engineer by training, and for me, it began with doing things like building solar collectors when I was a child with my father and hooking them up to my house. What I didn't know at the time was I was starting down this digital information adventure. I was hooking up physical systems, physical thermostats with physical fans, and the fan would turn on when we wanted to put hot air in the room, and the fan would turn off when we didn't want hot air in the room, and it was a very basic, simple system, right? We took it to the local science fairs where we competed as an adolescent, and for us, that was the beginning of the journey. For IBM, it really began in 2006 and 2007 with smart planet work that we were doing to hook up things like the city of Stockholm for intelligent transportation, or to hook up multimedia and visual capabilities in the city of New York and Manhattan. And those projects, which were very large, started to shrink. And they started to shrink because everything we have has slowly become a digital device. Right, so think about what you have in your house, think about what you carry around, think about your car, think about everything that you have. It's on its way to becoming a digital device. Think about your dishwasher, think about your refrigerator. Right, all of these things have the opportunity to be digital devices. Think about what's inside of what you live in, think about how you travel. All of those things present this opportunity around connecting information, data, and being able to analyze it. So it's no surprise that industry analysts like Gartner say that the Internet of Things is the most hyped discussion on the planet today. So whether it's Industry 4.0, look at all the booths you go around today, everybody has a sign up. It all says Industry 4.0. You have to then ask yourself, so what do they mean? But there's a lot of talk around Internet of Things or Industry 4.0. These are really similar things. And you think about what that means. It means that people see an opportunity. Now, in Gartner's definition, that means that it's 5 to 10 years off. So when they say something's at the top of the hype cycle, they think the real value is 5 to 10 years off. We happen to believe that the value around the Internet of Things is today. It's here, it's right now. Right? The reason we think it's here right now is because the number of devices and the amount of money getting spent on instrumenting devices is increasing exponentially. No matter whose numbers you use, the number of devices and the number of companies investing in making devices digital is growing exponentially. All of them are increasing at a dramatic rate, and if you look out towards 2020, there will be 5 or 6 times more Internet of Things devices than there will be people on the planet. And if you think about the number of sensors per device, right? Some devices have thousands of sensors, like a jet engine. Some devices have a few sensors. Even your mobile phone will have dozens of sensors inside of it today if it's a smartphone. So think about this. There'll be more devices than people on the planet by a huge ratio, and there are hundreds, if not thousands, of sensors per device. So all of this presents a huge opportunity. It also presents a huge wealth of information, of data, that we need to manage at the same time. And this ability to coalesce this information and be able to make sense out of it so that you have an insight of how you can either use it personally or an insight of how you can use it in a business case is where we're spending so much time in the IBM company, and it's where we're working with folks such as yourselves to come up with new and interesting use cases. For us, it's more than hype. It's here and it's right now today in terms of the types of things that you can do. So, I mean, let's just think about our own personal lives. How many of you have ever hooked up your home for home monitoring or for home automated heating or something like that, right? I know I did. I did it over the holiday season, right? Thank you for the one hand raised in the back, right? It's great, right? You can hook your house up today. You can monitor it yourself. You can hook your house up today to the local power company if you'd like, in some places as well, right? How many of you carry around something on your wrist? Right? Tells you how many steps you take a day, right? You know, how many of us are not going to bed at night because we didn't do 10,000 steps, right? All of this is another form of being connected as individuals. So what we see is we see this advent of devices that are talking to us and they're talking to other devices at the same time. And this introduces a whole set of discussions around what devices are allowed to talk to other devices? When are they allowed to talk to other devices? How do they talk to other devices? Where can they talk to other devices? And most important, where does the information go and how do I make sense out of it in terms of being able to have it apply to help me with my life or have it apply to help me with my business that I'm trying to run? Right? So the opportunity that's here that's more than hype is to get this information, to treat it as your information, and then to decide what you want to do with it. And from an IBM point of view, that is where we come in. We work around helping you get the information, helping you consolidate it and understand what type of device that it works on, and then helping you make sense out of it for your context, for your paradigm, understand how you want that data to work for you inside of your business or you as an individual. But the key thing that I guess I'd like you to get is it's here. All of these devices are here. It's happening. We've got multiple examples around the world where we are working with companies today to broaden and explore the Internet of Things. So for example, Pratt & Whitney. Think of a jet engine in an airplane. Most jet engines in an airplane today have thousands of sensors associated with the operational characteristics of that engine. Right? So each of those sensors is its own little computer, it's its own little generation of data. And if you think about a jet engine with thousands of sensors inside of it, the amount of data coming off of a single engine as it flies can be in the terabytes of information depending on the duration of the flight. Companies like Pratt & Whitney now put together a service where they can run analytics on that engine. And they can determine the health of the engine while it's in the air by condensing the information, reducing it as it comes in, as it's streamed into them. And then by operating on the information to be able to do predictions and to do forward-looking analysis to determine, is the engine healthy? Do I need to take it out of service sooner than I plan to, or do I need to put it back in service later than I plan to, and then how do I compensate for that? So the notion of the Internet of Things for companies like Pratt & Whitney means that it can guarantee better safety, better security, and offer a new business model of being able to lease their engines to people versus sell them, where they actually run the engines that are in the plane and guarantee the capabilities or the warranty, the capabilities of that engine. So for them, it's transformational. It's about bringing together aggregated information when they make the engine, and then it's about using that information in operations when they run the engine to be able to produce new business models for themselves as well as better compliance and safety. Let's go talk about Lisa Energy. It's another IBM customer. Lisa Energy today is instrumenting homes over in the Nordics, so just north of here. Right? They bring together information coming off of home sensors where they are working with consumers, people like you and me, in our individual homes and owners of small businesses, to offer them choices about how the energy is consumed. Consumers can opt in, make a choice now to participate with their own data and get energy credits as a result of how they participate. It's much more interactive than some of the basic things that we might have seen 20 years ago. It actually involves multiple appliances in the home. It does a degree of processing on the data coming out of those appliances before it gets sent in. And then the energy company can aggregate that information to decide what are the most efficient things for people to have in their houses and how do we offer those so that we can have a lower electrical bill, we can consume less power, and we can smooth out our demand curve that's so important in the electrical energy industry at the same time. So these are critical decisions that affect us as well as affect a company in terms of being able to connect to the Internet of Things. And then last, this is a fun one. It's a company called Kiwi Wearables. Right? They make wearable things like watches, things like instrumented jackets, heart rate monitors, etc. And it's all designed for the person on the move to better understand their biometrics and how they are participating with the environment around them. And they use our programming services out on IBM Bluemix to create applications that then consumers can use to better explore these devices and understand the characteristics of them. So people can log on and understand what the device is doing for them and have a presence about how they're actually interacting with their environment by these biometric, intelligent-oriented devices. So for us, the Internet of Things is happening. It's live in multiple examples. And one of the things that I'd like to drive out of this is a lot of it is around choice. It's around choice of either a private example like Pratt & Whitney, where the company is inside of its own boundaries working on its data. It's around companies like Lisa Energy that are sharing information and consumers can opt in to how they participate in the Internet of Things. Or it's companies like Kiwi Wearables that are making easy to use, fun to log on to apps that people can use optionally. So for us, it's about the Internet of Things, access to the information, and then choices around how companies, organizations, institutions, and countries consume that data that's up to them and their policies. And so for us, these choices are part of what we enable with our software. When we think about the Internet of Things, there's two ways to think about it: makers and operators. There's people that make stuff, and there's people that operate it. And what's so fascinating about the Internet of Things is today that is converging. We think people that are making components today are now getting more data, more information than they ever had before out of how that component is actually used when the operation teams runs it. So no longer do we have the separate engineering team and the separate operations team that were completely different. We see the operations teams and the maker teams blending around common access to information, analytics, and insights off of those analytics to create useful work patterns around you make something to measure its operational efficiency and to take findings from operational efficiency and have that information feed back to you to better improve the product. So while it's something we've always talked about doing, it was often done loosely or it was done with very separate teams. We find the notion of making and operating now completely get intertwined, and it's the information, the access to the information, the use cases you put on top of it that now is enabling the Internet of Things to drive faster, better, more complete life cycles around the devices that they create. So this whole notion of makers and operators is empowering. It's enabling conversations inside of companies to take place that didn't take place before. So companies that now only make things are having operations discussions. Companies that used to only sell things are now having discussions about renting them and operating them for the people that would used to buy them because they can do it more efficiently. And it's enabling also the devices to start to work amongst themselves, right? To securely connect and talk to each other and share information before somebody has to get involved, thus improving speed, improving automation, and improving useful life cycles of the equipment itself. So we see the work that we're doing around makers and operators joining these life cycles as empowering to collaboration as well as to new business models that clients are exploring today. Which is why inside of IBM, just recently, we announced a brand new business focus, an IBM business unit focused solely on the Internet of Things. Whether you call it Industry 4.0, you call it the Internet of Things, or you call it physical meets digital, for us, it's about constructing not just technology, but it's about constructing analytics patterns and constructing use cases, solutions that allow people to drive useful aware and understandings of how to operate the Internet of Things better and more efficiently, whether that's inside of your home, whether it's inside of your city or your business, or whether that's in a global business that works around the planet. We find that our solutions now are being used to help drive that information awareness, and then off the back end, drive common patterns that clients can derive value off of the information and off the data. So for us, this moment's here today. You'll find us over in the other pavilion in the IBM booth with a strong set of discussions around how you can use IBM Cloud to connect to the internet. And you can log on to Bluemix and quickly instrument your device and perhaps go play or perhaps go do early experimentation without having to download software. Or you can buy heavier, more industrial software that allows you to build inside of a large, complex project, or allows you to connect assets and asset life cycles as well, always centered around gaining you access to the information so you can make better decisions. So this division for us is important. It's an important part of IBM's future because we think the Internet of Things, or Industry 4.0, is such an important part of your future as well. So what does this mean? It means for us helping you connect and create connected systems. So the simple graphic behind me, it's an overview of an airport. You see individual parts on that airport, right? Each of those by itself could be its own Internet of Things device. But when you connect them, when you connect to them and you collect the information and you aggregate it and you start to put a pattern for how it's going to be used and maintained on top of it, it's a living system. And for us, those living systems are patterns that we see over and over again in different industries that do similar type of work that we can help accelerate and we can help clients gain value on in terms of the type of business that they're in at the same time. Right? We bring together both our software resources, we bring together our expertise, and we bring also together a business transformation model that lets you start to see your business as you want to see it transformed in terms of, are you going after cost? Are you going after better operations? Do you want to change how you sell versus how you lease things? Do you want to go after improved safety or security? All of these things are the pieces that we put together when we bring your business life cycle into one being, and we think about the Internet of Things as a centerpiece in terms of making that physical meets digital connection take place. So, my last example. Think of this as a very broad example on top of the others I already gave you. Right? We work with Daimler. They've got a company that they own called Car2Go. Many of you have probably heard with Car2Go, right? Basically, they put a vehicle into cities and you can go rent it. Right? You don't have to own your own vehicle, you can go rent it. So think about what takes place here, right? The car is instrumented by somebody else. The credit card payment system that they use is somebody else's credit card payment system. And there's multiple other subsystems that they bring together. But what's important is they've used the Internet of Things and all of these pieces to put together a new business model for themselves, where somebody can walk down the street, pull out their smartphone, digitally connect to some place that tells you where the nearest car is, find that car, be able to pay for that car, and then proceed over to it and rent it. Now, in the background, while that person's doing that, there's an operations center that is ensuring that the car is healthy, that the car is ready to go, that it doesn't need anything fixed, that it is where it says it is, that the weather conditions are good for that car or bad for that car so they know whether to offer it or not. Right? And a whole set of operational procedures that run in the background. So what's going on at Car2Go is really a convergence. It's a system of systems around the Internet of Things, bringing together outside variables such as weather, bringing together map data, bringing together information on the vehicle itself, bringing together common business models like being able to pay for something with a credit card, and then coming up with a whole new business model to get in besides selling cars for somebody to own, but to provide a service for somebody to be able to rent and use a car at their disposal when they want to, as they want to. Completely different business model, completely different future that is offered as a result of Car2Go around what we have as choices as consumers. And for a company like an automobile manufacturer, it gives them a new way to think about their profit, their business, and how they're going to make money going forward in the future. So for us, Car2Go is a prime example of building the systems of systems, combining the information, gathering the right data, and then being able to offer it back in a new and useful service that people can take advantage of. And for us, this is what the Internet of Things is all about. It's about making useful applications on top of all those devices that we talked to you about. And it's about taking that life cycle we showed you, all of those devices coming in, and helping make sense out of them, organizing them around key useful patterns, and then helping you understand what to do with the information and how to act on it in the back end. So with that, I'm going to thank you for your time. Hopefully I've given you some thoughtful things to consider around the Internet of Things. Hopefully you've also understand some of the things that IBM's doing today. And when you kind of hear about the hype and you think about the things that are going on around Industry 4.0 or the Internet of Things, please ask yourself, what can I do today with my device? What can I do to help make a new business model take place? And perhaps come talk to us, because I'm pretty sure there's some things we can do to help you. So with that, I want to thank you for your time and wish you a great show. Thank you.